Welcome to Hive Scum Podcast, the grim and gritty podcast for the 28 community. I'll be your host today, Gage, at No Clear Coat. To my left is another host.
I'm Steve, at South of Heaven.
Diagonally across from him is another host.
I'm Phil.
You have Instagram again. You have to say your name.
I'll delete it by the end of the day.
Okay.
Delete it?
Blood transfusion. Just delete it from my phone.
Well, if you delete it from your phone, they can still find you and look
Yeah,
at
but they're not
it.
they're gonna look at 5 pictures.
Sometimes
that I
that's what
posted.
they want.
That's what they want.
They want to look at a picture of me at a wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we're being rude to our other host.
Yeah.
Who do you think it is, listeners?
I was like, I know who it is. I let them in this morning.
We're going to make them think for a second.
Yeah, think.
Who
Yeah.
could it be?
Yeah, write it in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit the little bell.
There's a bell.
I don't know. I made all that shit
okay.
up. But we are joined by Tyler, is all right at painting.
Hello.
Dr. Piss.
I'm Tyler at Tyler's Right at Painting.
That's all you gotta tell
.net.
.net at RuneScape 3.
RuneScape 3.
RuneScape 3 is bad.
The dot.
666.
What is it? So I know .com stands for .commerce, so it's technically for businesses. .org is for
Organizations.
yes, I know that's what it stands for, but it's for.
Like how that you whispered that to him.
I think .org it specifically has to be like a non like profit entity. Obviously .gov. No.
No.
All right. Well, I think maybe it just doesn't matter. I think originally that was the intention. What is .net?
Network.
It's just the internet.
Yeah.
Internet.
But I'm saying those suffixes, whatever you want to call them, .com, .net.
Yeah, they also
whatever.
have something.
Yeah.
Remember when they were trying to...
They had an intention.
They were making it so porn sites had to be .xxx.
That's so cool.
That should have. Yeah, that stinks. Why isn't it like that?
I think it is.
I don't think.
I don't think they have to be.
I've been to a lot of porn sites, and not a single one ended with .xxx.
I know there was also one... I forgot where it was. We should just probably look it up. But like gaming websites would do .gg when it opened up like under 10 years ago.
Okay.
But I think it's like a small island very far away from here or something.
Granada. Yeah, I do like the country code ones.
Yeah. Anyway,
I had a thought, and now it's just gone, but that's cool.
Tyler, welcome. Hi.
Hey, thanks so much.
One of the founding members of the New England War Council with us.
Here I am.
Here you are.
In the
He's here.
flesh.
How did you become a member? Where did you come from? How did we meet you?
My friend Mike at Gunham Official Hobby posted a little shirt that Gage was making or having made, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. Sent Gage a message. This is like a year and a half ago, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Sent a message. I was like, this guy seems kind of cool. Oh, he's also straight edge. Oh, he's actually like not a hobby freak. And then
That's cool.
so I started following you. Saw Nemo shit for last year. I was like, God, there's more freaks, and they live within an hour of me. And just kind of snowballed from there.
That was it. You came to Nemo. You made everyone at gunpoint buy your little dead guys.
Dude, I did. I made $14,000 off of my casualties.
He donated part of the profits to us getting our own dead guys to give away.
Yeah, there you go.
$13,000 worth. So
Yeah.
What do you do with dead guys?
You make fucking
Everything.
dead guy tokens.
I use them as
No, I know. I was trying
casualties.
to. I don't know. I was trying to be clever.
Oh.
It went over your head.
Dead guy the band.
No, definitely not.
And yeah, now here you are. On a
Clinging on ever since.
A year and some change later.
What do we got going on?
What have you been up to, Phil?
What have I been up to?
Yeah.
So I fucking finally finished everything for the Path to Glory campaign.
Good man.
Yeah, everything is all of the rules are committed to paper, all the mission cards are done. We want to get them printed out and laminated just to have them at the space, but all that stuff is done, and the campaign is kicked off yesterday, and now I have 5 individual painted beastmen left that I need to finish the basing on, and then I can fucking finally move on to something else.
You can finish those gores for the campaign.
Yeah, I can paint. I can
Yeah.
go brush to model again.
Because your army's getting there. The force you had, half of it was painted.
At least half of it.
You had 2 heroes and most of your gores, and then
That's it.
Yeah, and you had a whole unit of Ungors and what's the big?
No, you know what? Half of the Ungors were painted, half of the Gors were painted. The 2 characters were painted, and there's a base coat on the Cygor.
Cygor is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite models.
It's
one of my favorite things to play too.
Steve, what have you been working on?
What have I been doing?
Healing.
No,
Yeah.
that's boring. I haven't.
He's doing a bad job at it. His doctor is mad at him.
His doctor yelled at him
me.
because he wasn't wearing his robotic leg.
I painted my 750 points for the campaign.
Oh yeah,
fully
you're doing something at the 0 hour yesterday, and it fucking looked so good. Just the last touches of the red wash on some of the ogres, and then the little like silver highlight on the armor, fucking beautiful.
Thank you. It's a process, you know. The washes, it's just all the
I know
recesses.
you've gone back and forth on
I still hate
the
them.
ogres. Really, I think
hate
they're
them.
awesome.
I think they're sick.
Well, I hate their bases. The bases, I think. But, you
can
know, you
always go
never
back
want
and
your
do the
bases to take away from the model, so I guess it's doing that job.
I feel like that's almost like intentional on mine.
Yeah.
I have very colorful bases and very
contrast.
muted models.
You can always find them. You'll never lose your models on the
True.
table.
Faces and bases, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to pick up some more basing material to finish the gum.
No, you don't. There's
I do.
so much at the
We
studio.
have
I
Kate-
need the specific gold flocking that went on my Mordheim board. I need it for that.
2 full totes of basing
You
material.
don't have that color. I know you don't because I looked far and wide for it. It's a
All right,
specific
Phil.
tin.
Later today when we get to the studio, I'm throwing everything the fuck out.
Thank you.
All right. We're going dumpster mode again.
Yeah, so I painted some ogres, and then I have to paint more, so it's not actually done. I built some Bretonnian knights for no reason at all the other day,
Nice.
and
That's kind of been it.
yeah, that's really kind of it.
Yeah. I kind of been working on just like the 40 fucking thousand guys I have to make for my 750 points.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't
have.
think you have.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was a little
it
busy
might
with
have
my
been-
boiler
it might have been-
exploding, having to redo everything in my
No,
kitchen because of it.
no.
You
It might
know,
have been after you left yesterday, but he has a ton of stuff built.
I have like
You got
20
a stuff
guys already built.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
made it seem like you last night when I
You guys just like
when I
bullied
bullied you. You said 1 of 49 or something like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Motherfucker,
No, I
get to work."
posted one guy.
Well, how many individual models are in the 750 point?
I think it's 38.
Oh,
That's a lot.
I know, yeah, and which is why I was talking to you. I might just change it to the cannon.
It's
so I don't
crazy
have to.
seeing what 750 points looks like across different factions.
5 giants, 4 units of
whereas
ogres.
750 points is 5 of the smaller giants, which
Right.
is still seems like a lot.
That's
but
more units than I have in my army.
Yeah,
And when Tyler joins, it's going to be 800
I will have 800 at
zombies.
750 points. Yeah,
Dude, I
Play a
can't
zombie
wait.
heavy.
Can you
well, because if-
out zombie Terry?
No, no
Terry
chance.
has like 120. Oh, probably like 140.
I already have
painted.
120 or
He already had
probably
them.
about the
All right,
same.
all right, Terry. He already had 120 built.
And skeletons, Terry.
Yeah,
Yeah, go all skeleton. You got so Terry is the zombie guy. You got to mix it up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh, no, for sure.
Army of
always
Darkness.
When
my
I teach you to play. That's one of the most like flexible armies you can play.
Yeah,
is-
I'm
so
excited.
there's just like a million different ways you can do an all monster, all zombie dragons list.
I'd rather die.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool. let me
I
tell ya.
literally gave away my zombie dragon, so I didn't.
yeah.
have to
It's
play.
sitting. It's sitting
to
on the desk
Terry,
there.
yeah.
still.
Terry's.
That motherfucker better get started because it eyeballs me every time I'm there.
It's a little too scary.
So, I mean, I'm glad we glossed over what we've been working on because Tyler, what you do is way cooler than anything we do, hobby wise.
In real life?
I think,
real
I think you're pretty. I think you're pretty cool.
I think
What
you're
have you
pretty
been?
cool.
What have you been doing hobby wise?
Yeah, let's talk about that
Hobby-wise,
first.
After Nemo, R.I.P. No, after Nemo, I started, I don't know, like 17 projects that next week. I tried to paint every model that my friends either made or cast and gave to me that weekend.
I think that was sick.
Because I was like, I need to get these done because they're cool one-off things.
They're going to sit on a shelf.
Yeah, or I'm just gonna forget about them, and Cole's gonna be like, "Hey, remember I gave you that cool free miniature for free?
Yeah.
like a nice friend."
He's given me 2 at this point. I've not painted.
Yeah,
yet.
everything that anyone has ever given to me, I don't think I've ever
I had to.
painted. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I just get in these spurts where I'll start like 10 projects and then finish 2 of them, and then I'll start 10 more and then finish 2 of the old ones. So like everyone else.
I was saying in the Patreon episode, you have the same mindset like Steve, where you just sit down and you fucking fly
I go
through.
so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to a point where I can paint pretty fast and have things look okay.
You blasted through an entire Middle Earth strategy battle game, Battle Company's Warband, like a night before.
3 hours.
Yeah, just so we
Yeah.
could play the next day.
I think the hard part about it is getting to the seat to sit down and paint.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you, but for me.
Oh no, I mean,
Yeah, distracted by a million other tasks and feeling like I'm like shirking any like responsibilities that I have.
Sit down at my desk. It's filled with
Like I'm not allowed to have fun.
Oh yeah. Oh well, there's stuff on the floor. Now I have to clean that. Oh, okay, now I can paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially for me, like now that I own a house and I work from home, I'm constantly walking past projects for work I need to finish and house things that I'm like, I should really do that.
Yeah,
So I'll
but
walk
these
through.
toys look cool.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
when I got some zombies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, really, I've been painting a lot of NPCs for Paul's Wild West game,
Yep.
Hell yeah.
which I'm
Dead
so
by Lead.
stoked about.
Yo, I got some cowboys. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
Because you're joining us for Adepticon this year, right?
Yep.
Nice.
He's in the ride.
Hell yeah.
We got to find a van.
Yeah. We could talk about that.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out off, Mike.
But yeah, so I mean, you're in it then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm super fucking.
Are you
pumped.
wait? You're signed up to? Are you just doing NPCs?
I'm just
or
helping
are you,
him.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
helping him. We were talking about it, and I kind of like bullied. I was like, I've got models that I want to paint for this, and like, but basically, I was like, yeah, man, I've got like 30 NPCs.
And Paul was probably just like, yeah, sure, okay,
he's like,
man.
yeah, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Of course.
Do you have any interest in the Old West in general?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
used to read about it more. I haven't for a while, but it's cool. It's like, tangentially related to my main
So for
areas.
those who do not know Tyler is a historian.
I describe myself as a textile historian, specifically a mid 19th century textile historian.
You have a cool title though, right?
What?
You're part of an organization.
Okay, yeah, that's not my real life though.
Plug it.
Okay.
That's a
Plug it.
No, he doesn't have to plug it.
No,
but
that's fine, that's
it's
fine.
not a title. He said it's non-profit, so it's not a.
It's still a title.
I mean,
still have a cool title.
Okay, so just to clear this up, so in real life, I reproduce clothing for museums and like movies and stuff, and I do like historical advising and wardrobe for film and TV sometimes. So that's my main shtick. Secondarily, I run the president. So there's a bunch of us that obviously like organize and run this stuff, but I'm the president of the
run
largest.
shit.
I fucking run the largest, most historically accurate Civil War living history group in the U.S. And we don't do battle reenactments. We just do like living histories at national park sites or private, state parks and private areas like that for primarily for spectators to come out and watch us do like battalion drill. So we'll portray like a regiment to the man, like with all the wagons, all the horses, everything. Portray an artillery battery like to the man with all this stuff, like the mobile battery forge, for example.
So two questions just popped in my head. How many men are in a battalion? I'm sure that's a variable answer.
Yeah, it actually is. That's so how armies were organized back then were you'd start with like a platoon, then there were 2 platoons in a company, there's 10 companies in a regiment.
How many per platoon? Is that like 10 guys?
No, platoons were generally on paper 50 men, so a company would be 50 men.
Whoa.
And then there's 10 companies in a regiment. Now a battalion is anything smaller than a regiment.
500.
So
in
like
a regiment.
no, 1,000 in a regiment.
1,000 in a
on
regiment.
paper, yeah.
Okay.
So like when let's just say like a local like Connecticut regiment would have recruited,
Yep.
they would on paper have 1,000 men, sometimes over, sometimes under, and then once they start getting camped, people would start leaving through
Dying.
attrition, dying through diseases.
Fleeing.
Yeah, most combat regiments like mid Civil War had like 300 men.
That's really under.
Oh yeah,
That's
most
a
Those are
different number than 1,000.
Crazy like people going AWOL too, because then there was a lot of like conscription. There was like a draft in the Civil War.
Drafts and
Yeah.
stuff, draft rights, all that conscriptions.
You
And,
can't even find me. How
you could very yeah, you could very easily. I could join a regiment here in Chicopee area, get my cool bounty of like $200 or whatever, $300.
They
go
pay
to-
you ahead of time.
Yeah, then go to New York State, do the same thing. Go down to New Jersey, do the same thing, just make out like a bandit.
And then never fight.
And then never
again.
fight?
And then
That's
move,
so cool.
Yeah, then move to like Massachusetts and be like, I've always been here.
Yeah.
I always wonder what
Grow a
stopped
mustache.
people from doing that.
They did it all the time.
Nothing stopped
Yeah,
them.
no, nothing stopped them. There was dirtbags back then. too.
Django wasn't going to go find him
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. But yeah, so I don't know. That's my other hobby that is all consuming.
Hobby / profession. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's fucking cool.
The other,
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. I mean, we all have fucking busy town jobs. You know how it is. The other question is maybe not as interesting a question, but like, where do you like advertise things like that? Like, how do you like find an audience for like the events and stuff?
To see
that you
us?
do? Yeah.
So with the national parks,
The national parks you probably get
like
like
that advertising's
government money.
there.
They're the ones that are we're doing the advertising.
Yeah, and like
stuff, right?
and we'll be on the schedules and stuff, and like our events take like 2 years to plan, so we'll be planning and advertising for forever until we're actually there doing it.
And quickly, how long is an event? Generally,
A weekend. So we'll get there.
2 years to plan a weekend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
Sometimes like a year, depending on the event. But like,
I thought Nemo was fucked up.
no, I mean, it gets so silly, but it's because we're lunatics. So like,
Yeah.
kind of as this
And
community,
you're living there.
Yeah, like, so as our mini community is to like the broader wargaming world. So like,
Yeah.
it's very small comparatively, and like the people who are like really into kit bashing and like playing for fun and just like getting together and just being like freaks, like Nemo, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
So small compared to like the world of
Wargaming.
40K
Yeah,
players.
yeah.
yeah, whatever. So we're the same as that, really. We're like in the greater living history / reenacting world. There's a million Bobos who run around and do whatever that we're not necessarily a part of.
Bobos.
Yeah, Bobos. But there's like the 300 of us and some other groups too that are like sister units that really stick to like freak level shit of like making sure like the warp and weft of our cloth is being woven correctly and dyed correctly.
I don't even know what the fuck you just
And
said.
then which is like that's leaks into my normal job too, whereas like if I'm reproducing a garment for a museum or for a TV show, I want it to be as perfect as possible. So going and seeing the original and like what kind of thread they use for the button versus like what does the back of the buttons look like, who's manufacturing the buttons. If I can find originals, I'll use those. So anyway, so it's kind of the same world. It's a very small. It's like a subsect of a subsect of a
Right.
subculture.
Because a normal air quotes person would go, I'm gonna like the Gambison thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna make a Gambison for my Renaissance armor, but I need the sheep fur from Ireland from this specific sheep that would fill that Gambison, not just sheep from X county in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fucking
The most
psychos.
the most accurately sourced raw materials. Yeah.
It's very cool.
It's I've got a bad brain, and I cannot do things half-assed when it comes to that kind of stuff. Which is
I think that goes to show just how important that is, though. I mean, in the Patreon episode, you were talking about how like the revisionist history of just reenactments at large is like such a bad thing, and reenactment as a term is such a bad thing. Yeah. But I think
it's on for some context. I've in my opinion, specifically Civil War reenacting has done more to harm historical memory than most other aspects of parts of historical memory. Really.
Right.
More than Hollywood?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd rather watch. I mean,
reenactments probably inform Hollywood
a lot. Well, we used to use a lot of like reenactors as like BG, like background extras and stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but like movies like Glory, for example, I'll die on the hill that like Glory is like the best depiction of like the Civil War, mostly because it deals with concepts of like, I don't know, race and enslaved people that like 99% of other Civil War movies don't ever even touch on, or it's like a whack ass like the only like black character is like a guy who's like a quote unquote happy slave, that kind of thing.
Yeah. This is the Morgan Freeman movie.
Yeah.
I still have not seen it, but I heard it's really good.
It is so fucking sick. Like, and costume wise, it's like 88, I think they filmed it or something like that. Costumes aren't like, costumes aren't like phenomenal in it, but like it's got an aesthetic there that is just so good. Actors are great, story's great, whatever. The reason why I point that out is that like Hollywood does a lot of bullshit when it comes to history and stuff like that, but reenacting in general, I think, is just like, because when you think of like the Civil War, what do you think about? It's like goofy old guys with like white beards.
Yeah.
Santa Claus guys. Whereas in reality, they were 17-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So,
and also from my perspective as someone who's just so very not in tune with any of this, I'm not going to Hollywood to get an informed thing. And if someone says, "Hey, you want to go to reenactment?" I'm going to go, "Okay, that guy knows more than me, so he's telling me the truth."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and he
there's
probably
something
doesn't.
to be said, like in society, of just like trusting that someone knows more than you. If someone is speaking with like confidence and authority, just assuming that they know more when like most of the time no one knows anything about what they're talking about. It's like, I don't know anything. Every Phil fact is made up.
Terry, edit that out. Edit that out.
quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for all you listeners out there, if you go to reenactment, just don't talk to them. Don't go to reenactment.
Just watch.
Just don't go to reenactments. Read books instead. That's a thing. Or go to a reenactment that's well researched and thought out, but it's not going to be. So
Right.
I love a book.
Yeah.
Dang. So
that was heavy.
yeah,
dude. I'm bringing the hard shit today.
Shit.
do we are we ready to jump into the main topic?
Yes.
We can jump in the main topic
So
if you want.
I got a lot of things to say about it.
Oh, okay.
So
this is a
one
heavy
that,
fucking episode, I guess. Shit.
Oh yeah. Well, so this was like a topic that like was suggested like a few different times, a few different ways, and just like a general question that's like asked anytime like we put the call out for like questions from the Hive. And the question is just like in general, science fiction or fantasy. Whether I don't know if they're necessarily asking
Versus
preference, or what. I don't think it's necessarily interesting to say what we prefer and why, although I'm sure we will. But one of the things I want to do is categorize these things in an intellectual way.
That's why we brought a historian on.
That's why I brought a historian.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help.
No.
Because not only do I think it's helpful to, because I think those are things that like the lines get crossed a lot, science fiction, fantasy. So I think having a good definition of them will kind of help people form their own opinions better of why they might like one thing more than the other. So here's where we'll start the conversation. We're going to start at so we're going to think of it as like a tree. Okay. At the trunk of the tree is speculative fiction. That's just what we're going to call everything that isn't set in fucking Chicopee, Massachusetts in 2004. Anything that has any sort of anything that is what you might think of as like genre fiction. Something that's not out of the ordinary. Something that's maybe has technology that doesn't exist, has some sort of supernatural element to it.
So it could be based in reality, but also has an air of fiction to it.
An air of fiction is anything that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So fiction doesn't necessarily have to be fantasy or sci-fi. Fiction could be a story that I made up about how I used to work at the mobile station in Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Why are we referencing Chicopee so much?
Well, because we're in Chicopee.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're in West Springfield right now. All right.
We're not in West Springfield either.
We're in Westfield.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
I was like, damn, Phil's on a Chicopee grind
in
right
Chicopee
now.
there is no law.
It's so true.
There's no law here. I'm the sheriff.
That's my favorite fiction.
And so
that Phil the sheriff.
Oh, man.
Yeehaw. So, speculative fiction is anywhere we're imagining a world that doesn't exist. Okay? So it's existing somewhere that isn't Westfield or Chicopee or West Springfield even.
I got
a place that exists, or is it a version of it that doesn't exist? Like a version of Chicopee where there's leprechauns. You know what I mean? So that's so this is in the broadest sense we're talking about speculative fiction. And so typically speculative fiction most times is divided into science fiction and fantasy. And the way that I'm going to define those two so is like I think that a lot of the times there's really no distinction between soft sci-fi and fantasy. It is something where you have elements of the supernatural that are not given necessarily a explanation that's grounded in reality. Whereas science fiction, the way that I think of it and understand it, you have scientific explanations that are grounded in real, science, ways that we understand the world. Like things like Star Trek, where like the general, obviously that technology doesn't exist.
It's loose, but you could see it.
It's based on, what we understand of science, whereas something like Star Wars is fantasy. It takes place in the future, but there's really no scientific explanation of what's going on. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that. I would almost argue that.
You would argue that. All right, so we'll say it's more soft sci-fi. So when I think of science fiction, I'm thinking of. I'm trying to think shit like.
Give us a movie reference.
What's that? Interstellar.
Okay. That's science fiction.
That's science fiction. It's grounded in reality. It's technology that doesn't exist. It's planets and star systems that, as far as we know, don't exist or don't exist in the way that they're portrayed in the movie. But everything is based in science that we know. There's nothing supernatural happening.
Gotcha.
So that to me is what science fiction is.
I would almost argue that, but
you would argue that. Okay.
Only because the ending of that movie.
I don't even remember the ending of that.
You saw where I was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
The massive fantasy plot that happens in the middle of it.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I love that.
What am I forgetting?
The part where he goes into.
Hold on, we're going to spoil it for anyone that hasn't
Spoiler
seen
alert,
Interstellar.
spoiler alert,
You should
spoiler
go
alert.
see the movie.
I cried.
It's like a 40-year-old movie. It's
What?
I'm joking, but go ahead.
The part where Matthew McConaughey goes into like a wormhole almost?
It's a wormhole where he's looking at himself, where he's telling himself to not go where the fucking like timeline splits.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's like knocking on this like fucking mirror of reality, and he knocks the book off the shelf.
Yep.
And he's like in the earlier parts of the film, this is all happening. You're like, that's weird. What's going on?
To be fair, to Phil's point, I feel like there's such a gray area of where, and it's subjective, obviously, where we think what would happen.
Let's kind of pivot the conversation. Let's each of us. How do you define the difference between science fiction and fantasy? Is it just one is post-industrial and one is pre-industrial?
No, because I think the line crosses over a lot of time in a lot of media. And I think it's very cool how it does that. But so science fiction to me, I guess, would be it falls into kind of the same category of there is a realistic explanation to how we got to these points, or technology, like Fifth Element. That's like science fiction to me to a T.
There you go.
Or even not Shadowrun, freaking Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah,
like Blade Runner. Like that's all. That is science fiction to a T.
Yeah.
So that for me, that's where that like hard line is, I guess.
In comparison to what for fantasy?
Well, fantasy, I think, also has a broad spectrum of like low fantasy and high fantasy. Like,
of course. Would you consider 40K a mix, or would you consider it sci-fi, or what would you?
I would definitely consider 40K more of a sci-fi specific.
Yeah,
but
because it's rooted in a because we can like track it back to like where we are now.
Okay. Kinda, yeah. I don't know exactly why, but I mean, I definitely.
I agree. I
don't see the fantasy aspect. I don't see the fantasy aspect to it, but that's probably because it was written in such a way that we have a fantasy line and we have a science fiction line.
Yeah. An intentional.
I think for me, for sure, that is the line where if someone says fantasy, no matter what, I'm thinking medieval village with maybe a wizard,
maybe an elf.
Halfling.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, if someone says, "Oh, Star Wars is my favorite fantasy movie," I'm like, "You're wrong." Yeah. But it's just because of the terminology. Yeah. It's not like they are wrong. It's just
I think it's also kind of it's all opinion anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's
Well,
that's why we have a podcast.
You have to have an opinion if there's a lot of gray area. Everyone is going to draw the line somewhere else.
Yeah. Right. So if you say science fiction, my mind goes Fifth Element, Cyberpunk, Blade Runner, like that universe. Yeah. If you say fantasy, it goes Lord of the Rings, maybe even Yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings is kind of the first thing that just pops into my head. I think a wizard with some dwarves.
Is there anything that you think of that toes the line?
Yes.
Off the top of your head?
100%. Heavy Metal's finale scene with Tarna in that like weird apocalyptic setting, but she's an ancient warrior with a sick sword.
Just Heavy Metal in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that specific setting. Or like... that's like the major one for me.
Okay. What say you? What do you want to contribute?
I would say, given that Evan and I have been planning so much of our Adepticon scenario, we've been kind of focusing on
that's right.
that.
You want to toe the line with your scenario.
We're really on that line.
Some Mobius shit.
He really wanted to push Nausicaa, and that
sick.
it's so symbolic too of like kind of our friendship in a way where he was like, you got to watch this movie. It's my favorite. It's my favorite manga. And
Have
I was
you
like,
never seen Nausicaa?
I never saw it until 8 months ago,
dude.
And I was like, Evan, this is the greatest thing ever.
Fucking awesome.
Right?
It's Haley's, I think, favorite movie.
It's perfect, but it's in the same way where it's like a post-apocalyptic event kind of makes the world fantasy again, even though it was like science fiction. In I know we literally just discussed the terms, and I'm defaulting back to the bad way of explaining it, but that is how I picture it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you even talked about it last night in the Path to Glory, because one of the games was using 40K terrain in the
yeah.
and it was like
blurs.
Right, and you're like, well, the world like has happened, it blew up, something happened, and now you're in a fantasy world where technology is old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're back at bows and arrows and shit. It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like
technological regression.
right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I wouldn't say that's like the line, but I don't know.
dude, airships with giant Beetleborg monsters and like guns. It's fucking cool. Like even Final Fantasy VII
Beetleborg.
treads that line very well, and it's
Final
very
Fantasy
cool.
in general as a series always has. Yeah. What say you, Tyler?
I was actually, you're blowing my mind with your explanation of this, just because I've always, like others said, like, you know, sci-fi is space and explosions and spaceships and ray guns, and you know, fantasy is like, the scene I think about is like in Lord of the Rings, in the movies at least, like orcs and whatnot, like scouring, you know, the Westfold. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of Studio Ghibli stuff in this new, you know, enlightened period of my life now. I'm thinking it kind of does fit that middle ground a lot.
Yeah.
Nadia's super into Ghibli stuff, so we try to watch a lot of it. But yeah, just think about, like you said, airships and all that. I mean, I've got nothing to contribute, obviously.
Where does your mind go if I say fantasy? Just I know you said the orcs and stuff.
Lord of the Rings. I don't think about, like, guns aren't part of fantasy in my world.
Yeah.
But same with, like, I mean, I'm very much like, maybe there shouldn't be pistols in D&D kind of guy.
Oh yeah, same.
Because
I'm down.
Okay,
That's
really
a
into this. In my mind, at least like when I DM, D&D is always like early medieval, you know. So like, you know, if there's gunpowder, it's like a cool Saruman bomb.
Yeah.
But that's a little tangent in and of itself. But
yeah.
So where does sci-fi go for you?
Always future for me, and or like futuristic elements, things that I can't comprehend and or like aren't tangible right now, if that makes sense.
You have a specific series that jumps to mind when you think?
Let's see. Terminator.
Yeah.
For sure. Like that's like, because that was probably my first like big exposure to it. I saw Terminator way too young.
I feel like a lot of us.
Yeah. And that was the thing where I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. So that's the big sci-fi thing to me, and the 40K obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it too, though. I mean, for when Evan and I were sending out the prompt for the Adepticon, like how to make your warband for it, I was just calling. I didn't know what to say, and it wasn't even planned that we were going to do this episode. But it was like science fantasy is what I was telling people.
Yeah,
and that generally got the term across to people.
I think that's a good way to get across what you're trying to.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a good prompt for getting people in the headspace of like, I want you to think like what I'm thinking because I'm running the setting.
Yeah.
Is you give them things to listen to when thinking about this, things to watch or visual representation.
We did an inspiration list solely for that.
Yeah.
Just so people could know.
Yeah.
And Nautico was number one.
Sick. I'm going to make a warband now, even though I probably won't get to play in it, but I'm going to
listen.
Make one.
I'll guest list you.
All right. Straight up.
Oh, boy.
Don't worry. I won't guest list you for more time because I know how you feel.
I also won't be there for that day, but
yeah. Me either. I'm going to set it up and then leave.
There you go.
Yeah. So for me then, I would say preference-wise, what it comes down to is I want to be in a setting that is pre-industrial. So like you were just saying, no black powder. I'm thinking not just early medieval, but maybe even Bronze Age.
Yeah.
I like that sort of level of technology, like low agriculture, where like mysticism is like a very it's key to people's lives.
It toes the line of magic almost.
Well, no, I mean it is well, so you have to think of things in like historical terms where people didn't have understandings of the world that were their belief systems were
part of
they're part of how they interpret the world. So,
I got something on this for sure.
Yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
So like Robert Eggers' movies, The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman.
The Northman.
The Northman is thanks. The Northman is the quintessential thing that I think you're describing right now. Like in my head, because not only once again, those are, by the way, guys, the most historically accurate movies I've ever seen.
That's what I always hear is that Robert Eggers is
he's
his
a
stuff
freak.
Is the best.
Like, that's that newer Viking movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it, but it looked sick.
I won't talk about it too much. It's insane. But like I
can.
love from the
You can talk about it as much as
I
you
don't
want.
care if you spoil
That's
it.
why you're on the pod.
okay, so just okay, real quick. That movie
Doesn't have to be quick.
aesthetically that movie is fucking insane. Like the amount of research that went into different parts of it. It's not perfect obviously, but like there's a part where the berserkers are like doing their like ritualistic dance to like transform into wolves, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In their mind. And there's like the shaman stuff. That's all based on a bronze imprint of like a shaman who's dressed like that with a berserker behind him doing like the skank, like the circle jerk.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like conjectured how it would have sounded. But so that movie's insane. But I love how he treats history in all three movies as you're viewing things through the eyes of the people and their understanding of the world. So like in The Witch,
the way that they would have just seen things, they would have just interpreted as magic anyway.
And everything in The Northman specifically, every time we see like the Valkyrie or like the Dragur, I think that's how you pronounce it, any like really crazy stuff or like a witch shows up, people are like under the influence of something. Like the scene before, they had either like drunken themselves into a stupor, done mushrooms.
And then Bjork just comes out.
Yeah, Bjork's like, hello, I'm going to teach you about the ways of the world.
Oh my god, I love that video.
Shitty. I don't know, man. So that's, I mean, in my mind, that is it. Like that movie is like the pinnacle of like that understanding of fantasy, I guess.
Yeah. So like I think I like low fantasy, but I think it is not the lack of magic that makes like low fantasy good. It's the way that it's portrayed, not as like a fucking wizard throwing a fireball, but just like the way that it's that a magical understanding of the world is like ingrained in people's everyday lives. Like how like the world of spirits and
to you,
and it's taken as truth.
Yeah.
That is more
I like
immersive rather than
having an
explanation of industrialism.
Yeah, of having like a scientific understanding of everything that's happening in the world, which is ironic because as we always go back to the like world building I like to do. I'm like, if I learn something about like tectonic plates, I'm like, all right, well now I have to redo the map so that it makes sense geologically.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
Yeah,
it's not like you're like, well,
where are the fault lines in the new age?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm up at night thinking about that sort of shit.
Because we have that big ridge of
someone
mountains
is
right down the
someone
middle.
will look at if I put out this map, someone will look at it and they will say, no. At least one person is going to look at it and say this makes no sense.
Well, keep your fucking comments to yourself.
I forgot what I was watching, but it was like some cartographer, it might have been just like someone that, you know how like Wired does those like, we bring in a guy who's an expert on this and he talks shit on everyone.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. But it was like a cartographer was just like looking at every fantasy map ever and was like, every river you've ever seen on a map is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It will never flow this way. And people just draw fucking rivers and it's just like, no, you're wrong. That will never happen.
I literally stress so much about rivers.
Oh my gosh.
Shouldn't they like they run down towards?
No,
Listen,
not necessarily.
I didn't retain any of the knowledge
down
from that
as
video.
in from
Like not like an elevation level.
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
And it usually runs towards a ocean or some kind of major outlet, like a lake or something.
Eventually, but like it's never a straight path. Like some rivers will make crazy like U-turns, 90-degree turns. It all just has to do with like the geology, you know.
We need a river guy.
Experts.
Yeah.
Chime in here.
Yeah,
I'll call my guy.
Yeah, river god. Come
got a
on,
river
hit us
guy?
up.
River guy.
I know a river guy.
Do you?
He's unemployed though. He just lives by a river.
He lives in a barrel down by the river.
Yeah, he's the amphibious pig dog. I don't think that's an inside joke, and I don't think anyone that knows it will listen to this podcast. But I won't expound further on it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, and so that my desire for a pre-industrial setting, that does not exclude things like what's that fucking series?
Game of Thrones.
That is not what I was going to say. I do like the setting of A Song of Ice and Fire. Why am I drawing a blank? Horizon. You know, like for Forbidden Horizon, Zero Dawn. There you go.
I did not play that.
Yeah.
So it is in the far future, but everyone is living in this sort of like post. You know,
It's like
a
regressed
yeah, it's
technology.
regressed. Essentially, the idea is that like AI has sort of created like robot organisms that sort of fill different sort of like niches that wildlife would. That's why it's always like robots that kind of look like
Organic
animals.
almost.
Yeah,
Okay.
organic looking.
That's cool.
Did you beat that game?
The first one, I never played the second one. I did beat the first one.
I got very close. I never beat it, but very
I
good
hate
game.
when that happens.
Yeah.
Very good game.
But and then I think somewhere, spoiler alert for anyone who cares, but the premise is that like humans were sort of like, or like maybe like clone material of humans was sort of in stasis for like thousands of years or something, and then eventually like some timer went off, and then humans were start to like put back out, from
To ruin the world again.
no to like just go and like repopulate the earth again, and they all came out and they're all just like Stone Age. They're out there fighting with bows and arrows, but like it's
like
funny,
very
so much of their like material like culture that they use will just be like they'll have like armor and stuff, but it's clearly like stuff that's made from like metal that's like salvaged from like modern materials.
They're using
You know
like
what I mean?
titanium plates as like loincloths.
Yeah, I'm picturing a guy using like an old AK as a bow.
No.
It turns sideways.
It's like two receivers.
There is some shit like that. Some of the bandit camps did have some crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You would see just
cool.
like an
So
elevator
me,
would be like a throne for a guy sitting
that
on
to
it.
me
That's
is
cool.
a
That's sick.
fantastic blending of the two ideas of sci-fi and fantasy.
Damn, maybe I'm gonna make some fucking
Elevator thrones.
yeah, some terrain inspired by that.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff, too.
yeah.
It's like 40K feudal worlds. I know, like it always
Yeah.
kind of defaults to medieval, but like I love the idea of
Of a feral world, yeah.
of just like there's a titan that's destroyed in this world 10,000 years ago, and now people have been there for let's just say like the last 800 years. They've kind of come to the point where they're starting to like
Build a castle
farm
on it.
and
Yeah,
I
so
think
the
that's
farm is in
always-
the kneecap of
Yeah,
this titan.
yeah.
it's certainly not a there's a sort of like plot twist that a few series like over time have done where like the sort of the prestige it's revealed that like, oh, you're actually in the far future.
That
I
twist
won't-
is always sick.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
That's the rumor that fantasy or Age of Sigmar comes after 40K.
Oh yeah, I know that's always been I
that
think
was
Fantasy
old
world.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
a rumor. I think it's always just like a fan headcanon.
Well, there was
thing where
always
they
like things they snipped in, like
they like
the
blending
lizard men.
together. Like I know at the end times they
slang
always
stuff.
say like Kaldor Drago made an appearance in like the end times.
Really?
Kaldor Drago, the Grey Knight.
I'll let
yeah.
you know if I run into that when I'm reading it.
Oh, if you finish it, he famously does.
Oh, that's so
I'm not saying I
silly.
heard that. I know for a fact he does, and I think that sucks.
Well, there's like in the
I think the
Slan-
two worlds should be separate.
in the Lizardmen Codex, there's like Eldar Vox boxes and shit.
Oh yeah,
It's like
all the slant connection there.
yeah. Well, the old ones are present in both settings.
Yeah, but they're specifically like they talk about an artifact that they've had.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
straight up just a Vox communicator.
Yeah, that sort of thing for me. Like that's a cute little Easter egg for people. But as I've said before, the only thing that matters is headcanon. And in my head, if those things don't intersect, they don't.
1,000%.
Yeah, straight up.
I don't give a shit what a novelization says.
Yeah, like the Age of Sigmar. End times never happened for me, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
We're still going strong.
Still going strong, baby.
Well, you're just wrong.
Nope.
We're like
She doesn't have to be.
Like Steve and I are the
Yeah,
fucking
straight
truthers, dude.
I mean, Skyrim and Fallout do that too. There's like, what is it? There's
Skyrim, the Dwemer. Those little dwarves that their technology is left behind. Yeah.
And then there's like
that's what they're called, right? The Dwemer.
Dwemer.
And then there's Nirnroot. And people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, confirmed!" And it's like
You're losers.
the same studio made it. I mean, it's
What
the
is
same thing.
What is Nirnroot?
It's like you make all your potions with it, but it's in both games.
what game?
Fallout.
I never
Skyrim.
played any Fallout games.
You should. All right.
Pretty cool.
I want to go back, dude. Science fiction
Fallout
movie.
is not in a pre-industrial society, so it's not interesting to me.
That's fair. That's fair.
I do own. I literally have every Fallout game sitting on my shelf, and I've never touched them. I'm just
It is
fucking
literally
loser.
an industrial society.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I
definition.
understand. I understand the premise of the series.
Yeah.
So basically, there were some nuclear. No,
Yeah, our beloved ex-host Stone.Jaw loves Fallout.
Big Fallout guy. Yeah. Gage, where do your preferences lie, and
My
why?
preferences?
Yeah.
I'm okay with putting the peanut butter and the chocolate with fantasy.
Yeah.
My D&D can have guns. For me specifically, I like the Industrial Revolution within the world.
Yeah.
I like characters kind of being adjacent to it or seeing it.
Yeah.
It's such a good. Okay, yeah, we worship the old gods. Like this guy clearly is the god of thunder, and we worship him for that. And then come to find out,
We've got
Tesla
black powder.
comes. Yeah. D&D character Tesla comes by, and he's just like, "No, we can make this ourselves." And then people are like, "Whoa!" And it's like the cool reveal of the world. But I mean, I also play so much. I don't with games specifically. I don't mind going low fantasy or whatever. I generally love high fantasy anyway. Same with sci-fi stuff. I love batshit crazy. I mean, like
out of
time
control
travel is like the coolest thing to me.
Oh, I
every
dig it.
character
No one does it right.
and that's the coolest part to me, because everyone will always have some take on why it fucks things up. You know what I mean? Like, Cable is my favorite character fucking ever in the Marvel universe.
yeah.
You can put him anywhere, and it could just be like, whoa, like Monster of the Week type shit. Like here
Cable
he is.
fights a bunch of knights.
Literally. You get the fucking X of Swords. That's the
Cable
fucking thing.
fights the dinosaurs.
Cable kills himself, but like in the
my
future,
God.
like it gets so crazy. And then you add in multiverse shit. So
Does Cable do anything to dinosaurs?
He's got to fight a T-Rex. I know he's got to fight a T-Rex.
I can't reference a dinosaur specifically, but there's one.
T-Rex is such an overrated dinosaur.
I agree.
Yeah.
Get out of my face with
We
that.
there's one where he's fighting sharks with lasers in space.
Attached to the freaking heads.
That sucks.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like shit that is so out of this world. I'm okay with it in kind of any setting. But then again, going back to what I think Steve was saying earlier, I've been binging 10 seasons of Stargate SG-1 right now, and that is like they go as far as they can to make it as real, as like sounding as they can. So
I mean, as far as like technology?
yeah. Like
They had a scientist on set.
yes, yeah. This is the term you'll use, so you don't look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So like anyone, I mean, when there's a general effort for it, yeah, I can appreciate that too. But
Yeah.
I'm really not picky when it comes to any.
Yeah.
Tell me what the limits are, and then we're going to go as far as we can to bend them, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be a good story either way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Matt Groening does with Futurama.
Yeah.
Like all that shit in Futurama is based on.
So
like, real
I
science.
am a huge Futurama fan. I have never thought about the fucking like
I know.
implications or the actual settings
Well, I know,
of
but like-
what's going on in Futurama.
That's the crazy thing about it, though. Is
all
like
I think
the
about is
shit
what
based-
Popplers taste like.
Yo, Popplers, I would eat that shit.
Yeah,
What do you think they taste like?
probably so like salty and buttery.
Can you please describe what a poplar is?
It's like an anthropomorphic chicken nugget.
But it's alive
Yeah.
before.
We can't eat that.
Yeah, vegans can't eat
I
it.
got to pay my vegan tax and
Yeah.
tell you today that I am vegan and I can't have that.
Okay.
Terry, delete that.
All right, Steve. Anything that you want to expound on as
No.
far as your preferences?
That's my preference.
Yeah, that's what we're at.
No, I like a nice dose of both.
Yeah,
Like in their own lanes.
you don't like them to cross over too much.
I don't generally like the crossover.
Yeah,
There
same.
is it has to be a very specific setting, and it has to have like purpose for me to like want to do it. Like your setting being like we're gonna do. It's got like a Nazca stylized theme to it. It's like okay, airships and big monster things or whatever it is. It's like okay, cool. I will make a specific warband or a specific thing for that, or I like this one piece of media that is depicting that.
Now, real quick, because I actually wanted to talk about it in mine, but I think posing it as a question is more interesting. If I say, okay, Steve, make me a low fantasy warband. We're going to be playing low fantasy game.
Yeah,
2.0.
I have it in my mind.
Cool. So you come into this a half hour into the session. We go into a cave and you find a crashed spaceship with a gray alien in it. Does that bum you out?
It depends on like
Little
are we
guy
saying-
comes out and he's like, pew, 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 with his little laser blaster.
Yeah, I'd probably be pretty bummed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
But it depends though, because there's like sometimes where like for story narrative purposes, it can add to it.
You say a gray alien?
yeah.
Okay,
that
come
works.
on.
That works fine in my head canon because gray aliens are more of a temporal phenomenon and not a interstellar phenomenon.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
I think it's how you describe it. As if you were
Yes.
DMing the game,
I was just about to say, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
little gray guy, hee hee hee. And then
you
they'd be
see
like,
a Mark 22 pilot coming out in his overall. But if you're like, you see a craft that you're not really familiar with,
right.
Made out of a hard metal,
Right.
Yeah.
One of the books I grabbed when Evan and I were like spitballing stuff is the Baba Yaga's Dancing Hut. And spoiler for this fucking book from 30 years ago, anyone. One of the layers is literally a miniature Tokyo with a lizard person walking around knocking over buildings. In Baba Yaga's fucking hut in the middle of this like super gothic campaign. And it's described so like you're saying, like you don't really know what it is, but I feel like once players realize it's a Godzilla like trope, people would be like, "Oh, this is so stupid." Like,
I'm sorry. Explain it again.
so you know Baba Yaga?
Yep. I know the hut with the chicken legs.
Yep. So it's like this interdimensional. There's like layers upon layers and layers within
So you're
this
going
hut.
through floors, like
Yes,
essentially.
yeah. You go down like this. I don't know if it's an elevator or something, but you get to the next layer, and it's a miniature Tokyo.
Yep.
But you are like big. You're like bigger than
So
Godzilla.
you can see the little city.
Yeah. So you would be like
Okay.
Godzilla size, kaiju sized in this miniature Tokyo.
Yep.
And there's like a lizard person knocking over buildings and stuff.
Okay.
And it's just one of the layers that's in this hut.
Okay.
There's like no explanation for it. But the way they describe it is like it's to like really like ease you into the description. They don't tell you it's Tokyo. It's like you see these structures, you're not sure what they are, but it looks like there's little windows in there and it's made out of metal you don't know. And
I think that's silly.
I think it's very silly.
See so that's similar to anyone ever read the Dark Tower?
No.
Dark Tower series?
It's my mom's favorite series, though.
No. That's a weird series for
My
a
mom
mom
loves
to be
Stephen
into. Yeah. But it's also like not even it's like it's like the series that like ties together all his work, but it's so not like it's not horror. But anyways, that's one of the things that famously like you get to like it's like 7 books, you get to the 5th book, and then there's just some silly bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, wow.
The clown
I
comes out.
won't spoil it. No.
Like a laser gun.
No. It's
Turtle.
literally things from other IPs
Yeah.
coming into his world. Yeah.
Like
It's-
real
Batman.
Ready Player One shit in the...
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Okay.
But I'll spoil it off, Mike.
So to go back to that would bum you out? And would it be like the lack of explanation or just that you...
I think if you didn't explain it, it would make it okay.
Yeah.
I think
really?
if you left it like very up for interpretation and didn't just hand it out of what it was.
Yeah, we're playing a miniatures game, and I just pull out like a Toys R Us little spaceship.
That I would be like, yeah, I'd slap it off the table.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that anymore.
It's about like those little like NASA.
Yeah, it's a bobblehead.
Little gray alien just bobbing his head around.
Yeah, if it was like an RPG or something and you left it to the interpretation of the players and you left it very open-ended, it would be fine, I think. But the second you start hammering away, this is what this is, I go, oh, yeah, that's dumb, and I think this is stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm also a hater. I am a known hater.
No, I mean, you're definitely a resident hater, but I think I would be in the same way. If I'm so ingrained in like... Well, actually, Phil, if you're playing in a low fantasy game, pre-industrial...
Yep.
And I have a fucking shotgun.
Yeah, and your character opens a chest and there's a fucking Mossberg 500 in it. What do you... is that like...
So this is a game that I'm not the DM of?
Correct.
You're saying?
We're playing D&D, and your character, who is a barbarian in
well,
the
I
world,
wouldn't-
is low fantasy.
I wouldn't
finds a
s-
shotgun.
I wouldn't say anything, but the DM would probably tell from the look on my face that I think that's fucking dumb.
And it
Cool.
Would it rely on the explanation, or solely from the fact that there is a shotgun now in your fantasy world?
I mean, I could probably headcanon it enough to just be.
You just
There's
erase
no
it.
other sign of this being the future so far that it is
Yeah,
low
yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Like you are in fucking medieval times, and this guy's got a fucking shotgun.
There's just
in his
now
chest.
a barbarian with a shotgun.
I can think of. All right, first off, this barbarian does not have the stats to wield a gun. I don't think
It doesn't matter. You found
He's using it like a club. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know, man.
Real Planet of the Apes.
It's got 3 rounds chambered, and that's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't even understand it.
Solid slug.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be bummed.
It would have
I'm
to-
bummed. You could tell looking at me right now. I'm bummed thinking about it.
It would have to serve the purpose of that. The game would have to be so fucking good. Like
I don't even think the game.
like
could
Army
say
of
that.
Darkness
Yeah, I
is
think
an
that's dumb.
example that comes to mind where like Ash obviously goes back and has a shotgun. And
Well, I love Army
But there's
of Darkness.
there is a
Exactly.
straight reason of
It
why
is
that
like,
exists.
It is so I wouldn't say soundly perfect as far as like, but he's there for a reason. He's got that for a reason.
Right.
But if that movie was made and that just a medieval movie and they found the shotgun and Ash stuff and just like put it on and knew how to use it.
Yeah.
And it didn't serve the plot other than that, then it would suck.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
that in my head, I think could be cool. Of you're in this fantasy setting and there's a fucking guy who's a fucking nutter that you're like interacting with, and he has all this weird stuff you don't really understand in his hut, and then like
It's an AK. And
yeah,
a
straight.
pistol.
It's like he was a time traveler, and like, but
Microwave.
you
Not to,
can't comprehend that.
Not to derail too hard, but has anyone ever seen the old Army of Darkness Empire Army? It's like in an old White Dwarf magazine.
No, but that's
I
Yeah,
have
someone did it.
vague recollection
Yeah,
of this.
someone did like a whole like Empire Army of just Army of Darkness. It's got like fucking Ash. And I think he has like
Evil Ash.
Ash with the fucking chainsaw arm.
Oh my god,
Yeah, dude, it's pretty wild.
that's cool.
Yeah. Sorry to derail.
no, that's funny. I'm looking it up.
Actually,
It's crazy.
Google it. Yeah, Army of Darkness Warhammer Army.
I forgot who said it, but if the implication of just, or if like you find a shotgun and it's just a shotgun, just haha, it's here, but it has no story
Yeah.
reasoning for
Yeah.
being there. Well, I could see that being like, okay, this is stupid.
I'd be
Fuck
like,
you.
come on, man.
Yeah. My barbarian does not need a shotgun.
Yeah.
But if it was like bread trails to lead into like crazy
A
time
plot.
traveler guy
Yeah,
in
like
the
Steve
woods.
said,
yeah.
if there's a guy that has a cool hut on the outskirts of town. People think he's crazy, but it's filled with like microwaves and
Yeah.
shit from like Tesla coils all the way to like
He has a fucking tank
modern
in the
stuff.
background in the lake.
and that is the idea. Like that's where you're getting to. It's like the crazy wizard isn't a wizard. He just knows how to fucking like.
He has gunpowder.
He has batteries.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like that's
He's
like,
actually not a
taser.
wizard. Yeah.
that in and of itself is a cool one shot.
Now, that leads into my next thought, though, is would something like that, I mean, especially in movies, right? If you're going into a movie like the Stone Age horror movie that's like being shown right now, I forgot the name of it.
yeah,
but
it looks
Something
sick.
about darkness.
if that twist happened in that movie and it wasn't shown at all in the trailer, would that bum you out? I'm looking at Phil.
Yeah, probably.
Like it
Not-
ends up being.
you know, it wouldn't. It wouldn't necessarily ruin my opinion of it. Is it like a good movie or not? But I would definitely feel like it's a cheap trick.
And if you saw a shotgun in the trailer just for a second,
would I have still wanted to go see the movie?
Well, yeah. If you had enough interest to see it, would it still bum you out?
In the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be much less interested in the movie.
Because that's like kind of what you were saying. Like, I feel like a rule zero if we're just making this whole conversation role-playing games now. But it's like, in that context, okay, yeah, maybe we're going to get into this weird thing. I think people would be a lot more inclined to be like, okay, sure. But I could totally see just pulling the fucking...
Well, I think they did that with that Adam Driver versus Dinosaurs movie. I think that's what it's called. It's Adam Driver versus Dinosaurs.
Yeah. That's the one.
But I think they did that.
It's like 36 million or whatever the fuck it is.
I don't want to spoil it too much.
Wait, what did
Listen,
they do?
this is just going to be the spoiler episode.
I think...
Nothing is safe. The dog dies at the end.
The whole idea is that like it's this guy and this girl, I think, and they're fighting against like dinosaurs, right?
Yep.
But like, just turns out that like in the movie they're just from space, and they come to Earth and they fight, dinosaurs.
Oh, so
there's
the whole time that you think they're time travelers or something? Is that what you're saying?
It's time travelers, or they're just like people that were on.
They're just from a more advanced civilization, and they come to Earth.
But I'm pretty sure, like in the beginning of the movie, they're like, "And we're from space and on Earth," and it's like, oh, okay, that's didn't really tell.
Oh, they
us
just
that.
do they do like a silly explanation.
I've never seen it. I've only listened to like a
People shit talking
2-minute
it.
video. Yeah. But yeah, that's that.
Are you able to expound on your preferences? Is there anything
yeah.
else you want to add to it?
I love nothing more when it comes to what I consider, fantasy. I love low fantasy. I love playing characters that are, if I'm role playing, I love playing characters that are just like loser, everyday soldiers, or just people, or like they're never special.
You've read The Black Company, right?
No.
Oh, you got to read it.
You told me about it.
You got to read it. Everyone's a shitter.
So that's what I want out of like fantasies. Like when I see a wizard, I want it to be like, holy fuck! It's like seeing a space marine in 40K, right?
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, they exist. Like that's real. It's not just a statue.
Right. See, that's my take every time I play D&D. I'm like, I want it to be a low setting, and then someone's like, I'm playing a wizard. I'm like,
you better be the coolest.
You better,
dude.
yeah. You're not gonna see another fucking wizard around, bro.
One of my favorite, sort of like, what's the word when you're explaining exposition?
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite like exposition like passages in like one of the like books in A Song of Ice and Fire is talking about like people living in like remote areas. Even just like the lord of their area coming through is like seeing a fucking cryptid.
Yeah.
It's like seeing an angel.
Yeah, you
Like,
see
it
Ned
doesn't even
Stark.
have. It doesn't even.
fucking,
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like a wizard. It's just like holy.
And it's some
fuck.
gross inbred freak. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, you got to think how far spread a territory is. Like a guy on the
Yeah.
outskirts in a homestead is like he's never been to the major city, like let alone fucking see Ned
He
Stark.
doesn't have shoes. He's just walking around his dirty little feet.
exactly. No, man. That's always my go-to for that. Like that's my big preference is like low fantasy. Same for sci-fi. Is like even if it's a sci-fi world or whatever, I want like very grounded characters that are experiencing things because I'm a dumb audience member, right? So like I want to follow like the Luke Skywalker path of like experiencing this for the first time, expositionally. But I don't have anything against high fantasy. Like I'd gladly play in a high fantasy game and have fun and enjoy it and like have a massive wizard battle and fight like 3 Balrogs and whatever. But yeah, just grimy, gross people, like just yucky.
Yeah,
just shithead.
To me, the same difference. Yeah, I like any level of fantasy, but a world that I really want to get lost in and see every corner of is a low fantasy world. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I always think like even with games like Last War is kind of cool in that regard because you just personally like I played like a pretty like historical based warband for our campaign, but they had like weird shit on
Right.
But like in my mind, I'm like, okay, these are guys that are using everything around them. None of them are mutated. None of them are special.
Yep.
They're just gross freaks. And then the first game I played with Terry was like fighting like an angel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is sweet. like like so.
Throwing your guys into the chaos.
Yeah,
of,
literally.
Yeah.
Like using Terry's guys as like just bait to get out of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I have like a kit bash idea in my mind now for the Forbidden Song game, and I want to go do it now. And it's really hard to sit here.
We have to end the episode now. Yeah, I mean, the rules are going to be public, so everyone
I don't give a fuck about the rules. I give a fuck about my little guys. I care about the toys.
I care about the toys. Well, I mean, like the world and everything, the setting, so everyone can make little weird
So I
guys
should
for
wait.
it.
Okay.
No, I mean, listen.
No, I'll wait.
I can leak it, you know?
Thank
Probably
you.
will
Just
too.
for you. Do we have questions from the Hive?
How about we pose a question?
Yeah,
Tyler, do
I
you got a
hold-
question?
Hold on. We got to do the thing. All right. Tyler, you're going to do the thing. You're Mike 3.
Yeah. Still. Yep.
Questions from the Hive.
Wow, that was so much
That
better
was
than Paul's.
that was way better than Paul's.
Phil, you have a question you want to ask Tyler?
Oh, do I? Yeah.
Oh man,
All right, hold on.
lay it on me.
So this actually comes from Paul. Tyler is all right at painting. Switched to a black background for Instagram photos shortly after Grim Richmond. The vociferous output since has taken on a more dark and mature tone. 28 enthusiasts are referring to the current season as the Dark Tyler period. Does the artist have any comment?
No, I'm not allowed to speak on this. I was told not to talk. No, truth be told, I just suck at taking photos, and I've always preferred miniatures on black backgrounds. Because I think white can potentially, in my case, take a lot of ruin a lot of like the lighter tones and kind of blend into the background a little bit. And on black, it pops a little more for me. But I really just learned how to do it. I talked to Mike more in person about it because I punished him a few times in our last couple of years of friendship, and it's like, hey man, how do you do that? And but I think I finally just figured out how to do it well enough to a point where I thought it looked good enough to post.
I think models look better on a black.
Yeah,
background anyway.
photographing miniatures is
It's a hobby in itself.
It's
yeah, dude. I
stupid.
think it's
It's
harder to me than painting them.
I have so many models that are.
And the thing is,
painted. I've never taken a photo of them.
Yeah.
The rush you get from looking at a finished model is like 1 million times better than looking at a photo you've taken of it. So I feel nothing.
yeah.
I don't post almost anything that I paint ever.
Yeah, man. And especially like a lot of the white ones I was doing, everything up until half a year ago. Like a lot of my Bretonians, like they never came out nice. Like the whites of like their clothing or like fleur de lis
Doesn't
or whatever.
contrast enough with the background.
Or to blend back, or like a lot of my work in progresses were the big problems. Where like I'd post like a gray mini or like a primed mini.
Yeah.
And the prime minis would just like a spear would just like go like vanish in a white
Right,
background.
right.
Like there's obviously problems with black backgrounds and stuff. I think it can be distracting, and I think it can be like some folks like really like bring down the contrast to a point where like you're just seeing like bits and bops.
Only
of
the
mini,
highlights
which is,
of the mini.
I mean, artistically sick.
Right.
Someone scolded me for posting a mini with too much contrast. Where they're like, "Are you going to post a photo of it with a better background and better lighting?" And I'm like,
No.
I'm going to kill you now."
Yeah, I'll just throw it out.
Yeah, I'm going to step on this toy now.
Fucking yeah. So that's the reason.
Damn.
Hey, it's good,
Well,
good question.
kudos to Dark Tyler for earnestly answering a stupid joke question.
Yeah, man. Add it to the list of names, man.
A question I have for you that you may hate,
Okay.
and you may hate
damn
me
it.
for asking.
Yeah.
Without getting into the problematic side of historical wargaming, do you see yourself getting into that, being more than an enthusiast into into historical things?
Are you keeping your hobbies separate?
Oh no.
Yeah. Would you think that they?
I'm into it, and I've been into it for 2 decades. I just don't post about it, talk about it. I haven't done any historical minis for a hot minute until Paul and I were just going back and forth with silly little. We got like 14 time periods now we want to do. So I actually just started painting some, like I said, those Wild West people.
Yep.
Every once in a while, I would do like a Visigoth or like a Gaul or something like that, just to like. I used it as an outlet a lot to instead of like reproducing an entire suit of clothing, because I do that sometimes just for fun. Like I did like a Napoleonic Prussian uniform, like head to toe, as accurately as possible. In my mind, I was like, I could just paint one of these. It kind of scratches the same itch. I'm doing the same research.
Right.
I'm just not spending 80 hours summing a fucking
Yeah.
coat.
Yeah. You would look up the color of a button rather than research where the button was manufactured,
exactly.
came from, et
Exactly.
cetera. Yeah.
So I am finding myself getting back into it. Like I've got some Civil War guys now primed that I'm going to do like, stupidly, research and stuff. But as far as like, I don't see it surpassing or overtaking my fantasy and sci-fi stuff.
I more ask because do you see crossover with?
Oh yeah,
like a lot of like people that are doing this with you are into historical wargaming, or
the people who do history versus Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. So the people I used
like,
to,
can you bring someone into the fold of wargaming that you would be out in the trenches with?
Not a few have like asked me about it. A lot of, so some people are just like, that's a cool hobby, whatever. They're not really into it. I guess some of my
wargaming
friends,
specifically.
Yeah.
Someone who is reenacting with you for a full weekend is then saying wargaming is cool or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, I just don't have time. A lot of it's like, I don't have time for it.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought they were like shit talking it, and I'm like, bro, you're doing it.
Some of them
you're
do.
LARPing right now, and you're
legit. Like some of my friends are like, they call them my little orcs and my whatever, like some of my best friends.
Your
in that
little
group.
toys.
They're like, yeah, you paint your little orcs or whatever. I'm like, motherfucker, you're dressed as a sergeant from 160 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You loser.
Who are you?
yourself.
So yeah, I don't know. So like some of my friends have gotten into it through that world of just like, overall nerd bullshit.
Right.
I've actually found more people that already paint or like are into like Warhammer or whatever, or had been. I'll post something and they'll be like, oh yeah, I used to do that. And they're like, next event, they'll be like, dude, I played Warhammer like in '88 and then I stopped because no one wanted to. I'm like, well, if you ever want to, do any weird
Or
shit,
sell me your
It's
models.
more popular than ever, sir.
I think I was telling one of you guys that, so a friend of mine who is like a well-respected Revolutionary War historian, he's an actual marine biologist in real life. Like he is a professor. He's crazy smart. But yeah, in the Rev War field, like really, really respected. He hit me up a couple months ago and was like, hey man, I saw you posted Mordheim stuff. I used to really want to get into that. I used to play like Warhammer in the 90s, early 90s and stuff. And like around when Mordheim came out is when I quit. So now he's like commissioning me to like do all sorts of shit.
sick.
He's like, actually yesterday, he texted me. He was like, you ever heard of this Nemo group? And I was like, oh, it's just like it's my friends. It's like you can just come hang out whenever you want.
Yeah.
That
rocks.
Yeah, he's in Rhode Island, so maybe one day.
I would love to hang out with a marine biologist.
Yeah, just really blast him with questions.
Just really annoy him while he's trying to paint little toys.
Going from our main topic, if you had a full period specific army that you're playing and you get sat across from someone that has crab claws in their army, does that bum you out?
I don't give a shit. Like, dude, I am so apathetic when it comes to games in general. Like, as long as I'd actually be more excited to see that than if someone were to like just like have like Ultramarines across and be painted how they should, quote unquote, should be painted.
Yeah.
Fighting like, 1812 Prussians or something. I'd be like, I fucking Ultramarines. But if they have like crab claw Ultramarines, I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't care, man. Like, as long as the shit I'm doing is what I want, like my opponents and people, they can have their minis.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when you're talking about your last war guys being basically historically accurate, and my last war guys had crab claws.
Lunatic.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you and Gabe, Niall Nelly had just insane fucking weirdo bullshit.
In my mind, like, that is so sick. Because I didn't even think about that. When last war, I was like, oh, World War I apocalypse, all the scary things are the monsters. I'm like, the scary things can be like the war bands too.
Yeah,
why not?
yeah. War is hell, as they say.
Dude. Crab claws, man.
I got one more question.
Yeah, we can have 3 more.
Tyler, this has been a question that has been posed across the podcast. What kind of wargamer are you?
I'd just say what kind of gamer in general.
Yeah, gamer in general.
I want nothing more. Truly, and this isn't a bit. I want nothing more than my opponent to have fun, and if that means that if it makes sense that one of my regiments like flees, but they don't, quote unquote, the dice don't say they flee, but I'm like Blurs, for example. Like, I love how he plays because it's so narrative. I'd much rather play a 30-minute narrative game where my guy, I just get absolutely hosed than play like 2 hours. Like we all know, like we're all in the same boat. Like, we're not going to punish each other, and if it is, it's like about cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not competitive in the sense that like I do not need to win. I'd rather lose. If it's more fun.
I would say, no pun intended. Historically, when we play, you are always the player to go. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm like a half-inch short. And he's like,
fucking do
no,
it.
you would fucking do it.
Yeah.
That guy would jump. Like,
Absolutely.
he would do that thing.
Yeah.
And that it always stands out in every game we play.
Yeah.
When we played against your lovely fiance,
My fiance.
she was trying to make decisions. You're like, would that guy do that? Would he charge that Urukai? And she's like, well, yeah. And then I'm like, well, then do it.
Dude. Yeah. And she came out with like that was her first real like wargaming experience.
Right.
And she came out of that. She was like, Gage is so fucking. That was so cool. Gage was so cool. Like
You know, a lot of people say that.
Yeah. And she was like, I should marry him instead. And I was like,
what did she say about me?
She's like, that guy on the couch was cool too. No, but like that made it for her. Because if you and I were like, oh, Nadia, that was like, he's half-inch away, so you got to stop there.
Yeah.
Next
I don't
turn, you
know.
can
Yeah.
charge. It's like, no, because your Urkai's going to house her little guy, and then she's like, no, that wasn't fun.
Right.
But
Which, truth be told, that was the only model that fell out of my warband was the Urukai.
She's got that. She's
So
with pride.
Yeah.
She mentions that. Whenever we bring it up, she's like, I did kill the biggest model on the table.
no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I just have fun. Like, be cool. Like, paint your fucking models. Show up to something, and don't be a loser. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a hard ask.
yeah, it fucking is too.
It's like the chart where it's like circle 2.
Yeah.
You can only have 2 out of the 3.
Paint your models. Be a loser. Don't be so weird. Like, it's like, but yeah, or just be cool weird, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
If you want to just talk to me about like dragons the whole game, even though we're playing Lord of the Rings or whatever, just like could do it. But like, have fun. Like,
Right. While we're editing last episode right now, but I think TMP Matt says having you can be trying to win, but like having fun doesn't mean winning.
yes,
And I was just like,
exactly.
wow, yeah.
That's like Nemo, for
Having
example.
fun is winning.
Yes.
Wow. That was so heartfelt, Steve.
So like Nemo, I won all 3 of my games at Nemo, which was
All right, Brian.
insane.
Yeah.
I actually should have won the. No, I'm kidding. No, but like, so I did pretty well. I mean, I got lucky as shit the first 2 of them, but like in my mind, I was like, okay, like this young blood, he's trying to prove it, this little Reiklander. So of course he's gonna charge this, this Skaven big badass guy,
Right.
Just gets absolutely killed, like that kind of stuff. So like, I just happened to have won that game, but if I had lost that game too, I would have had the same amount of fun.
Right.
I'd probably more Weirdstone. Anyway, I don't know, man. It's one of those things that it seems so simple to me. Like, I have a very one-track brain. Like, like with Steve and I with painting and stuff like that. It's like once I'm doing something, I'm doing it. And I don't really deviate. Like, my interests haven't changed since I was 6. Like,
Right.
I got my first ghoul blister when I was 6. Haven't looked back. Got into history back then.
Right.
So yeah, and it's always my thing. It's like we're just playing with army men on the floor with Jenga blocks. It's just cool as shit now.
Right.
So
More expensive army men and cooler Jenga blocks.
yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think where do you want to take the hobby this year? What's on the horizon for Tyler is all right at painting?
I want I want personally I want my hobby to just like I want to keep just doing stuff and not get bogged down. 2 or 3 times a year I just like stop for a month and for because life happens and everything happens. But I also want to like I just like encouraging folks to just do shit. Like just just do shit. Like
Right.
Tyler's pretty good at painting.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe I'll change it. No, I'm not gonna. But yeah, like I don't know, like Durzen he like texted or messaged. No, what did he do? He didn't directly talk to me at all. He posted today. About like
just a parasocial relationship
photo.
in your head.
And I was like, do this. No, he posted a Instagram thing today and was like, hey man, like hey, how do I fix this light thing on that camera? What am I doing? Give me some. And I like sent him like some like unrequested advice from me just about like what I do with when I take photos.
Right.
And that was sick. And like then he tried it and like they got it closer to what he wanted. And I was like, fucking cool. Like I don't know. Like I'm definitely not the best at anything I do, but I like the idea that like if I can like give someone some advice and it not even like directly helps them, but like it gets them to a point where they're like, oh, maybe I should do this instead.
Right.
So just being part of I just like being part of the community more than anything and like helping where I can or doing what I can. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like having you guys around is just like also extremely helpful because I can be like, oh, I actually have games to paint things for now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas before it'd be like an orc.
One thing I don't even want to say we glossed over. I don't think we mentioned it at all. Is that you are the winner of the King of the Kit Bash?
Oh yeah.
That's true.
You have a trophy.
You do have a trophy. Is it on your mantle?
Yeah, it's my room, in my hobby room. So it's next to a bunch of other cool shit.
All those other trophies.
All the other trophies you won.
Yeah, all my best
Are
seller
you
trophies.
are you gonna paint it?
Yeah, so I fixed it. So it
was broken?
No. I forgot to add like a pauldron on one of the arms.
Your kit bash.
Yeah, my actual kit bash.
I thought you were talking about the trophy.
No.
Like what?
No, that's
cool.
That's perfect, and I will not paint that. But yeah, so I like quote unquote finish my kit bash. So I'll probably paint that. The trophy is just so sick. I'm never gonna touch it.
Paint the little.
I might make a little mold of the goblin.
You should. We have masters at the studio. Shout out
yeah,
Ramshackle
yeah.
for that. So
Never mind.
We can recast as many as we
Yeah,
want.
I won't do that never.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was sick. I mean, that was like also, really knowing you guys for like just over a year at this point, which is insane to me. But like having like the community vote on my stupid little toy I spent,
I voted for
half
it.
hour on. Thank you.
It was really cool.
Thank you though. Like that, it means so much that like Kate's was crazy, Blur's was crazy. Everyone's was so good. So yeah, it meant a lot to me to get that little award.
It reminded me of the Horus on the staircase model, and that's I think why I voted for
Yeah,
it.
it's the only one that was a vignette.
Yeah,
What can I say?
I don't remember who I even voted for.
Danny was also one of my votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she thought it sucked. I thought it was nice.
I voted for Danny too. Not as number one, but
Of course, you voted for Danny, and she goes, "Well, it's only my friends that voted for me."
she got a lot of votes. I mean the fantastic drama of you taking the win from Paul.
Listen, there were a lot of miscounts that weekend, so it's possible.
There were no miscounts on the.
Let me
the
say
kit
this:
bash, I'll
if
tell
you
that.
recount and you change it, I don't give a shit.
She ain't getting the trophy though.
Yeah, I'll cast him a new trophy.
Yeah,
No, I'm
there
kidding.
you
You can have the fucking trophy. I don't care.
Yeah, no other hobby projects you think you're dying to get into? No full armies, no nothing.
I mean, I really want this to be the year I actively get 1,000 points of Bretonians painted.
Yo, straight
Yeah.
up.
Which I'm close. I mean, I've got a lot to paint, but I'll
Do you
probably
have 1,000 of the OPR? Because that counts.
probably actually
that counts.
Actually, no. I did the math. I think if I finish, because there's 6 guys in each mounted group, right?
In OPR?
Yeah, it's
No,
like
5.
6 or 5. Yeah, 5. Oh yeah, that's what it is. So almost got enough knights for a unit of those, and I want to get like squires finished. So I need 3 more squires. Then I'm good to go for that. But yeah, I don't know. I literally have a million projects.
Have you played a lot of like rank and flank fantasy battle, that sort of stuff?
Not a lot of. So when I was a kid, I quote unquote played
Yeah.
5th edition a
I
lot.
mean, same. I
it's
played like 1 or 2 games of a few different editions.
Yeah.
And then 8th, I played a bunch.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it died.
That's kind of it. And like I played more rank and flank like historical shit than anything.
How
so
different is it?
It's not really. I mean,
You're my only
Put
contact
kind
into this
clouds
world.
down every time you shoot.
Yeah.
The people. The cool thing is like Rick Priestley and the guys who were like doing that era of Warhammer, 80s and 90s, all came from the historical world anyway.
Yeah.
And they still play to this. I mean, like the Perrys are constantly posting pictures of them with like Rick Priestley, and they're just like blasting out some like obscure Napoleonic battle,
Right,
and I'm like,
right.
this is so fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not much different. Like,
We'll have to bring you to the historical area at
so
Adepticon.
fucked up.
Honestly, you won't be scandalized by it, obviously, because you come from that world. But just like old guys just wearing like costumes while
bro.
they're playing.
bro, yeah,
It's a separate hotel kind of across the street.
Yeah, they
Tyler
keep them
chastising
separated
old
from
men.
everyone
Yeah.
else.
yeah. Like, wow, come on, man.
No, they were playing. I remember there was some big Napoleonic game happening on the vendor floor.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. No one's doing bigger battles than them.
No, and it's crazy.
It's like they're doing like apocalypse size shit on the regular.
every day.
Yeah.
It's like oh, this is an easy 12-hour game.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
We're playing on Saturday.
yeah, easy.
Yeah, get here for 8 a.m. There'll be bagels, and we're gonna finish maybe
That
by
sounds
dinner.
sick.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And a lot of those guys are having their armies like painted by their people. Like they're commissioning armies to be painted. Like the hobby for them is being a general or a colonel.
Right.
or whatever.
Oh yeah, they don't care too much about doing the painting themselves.
It's like as long as like the pom poms are correct on this regiment and this flank company has like the right like shoulder epaulets, then like.
I'm just picturing some old guy just red faced at his desk because the guy he commissioned like painted something the wrong color.
Sure,
that's
happened,
cool.
man. Oh god, yeah, I don't know. It's a wild world.
I remember
More apocalypse games. That's what I want.
I remember walking.
I thought
in-
the community hates games that take more than like an hour.
I think making a day of it is
Yeah.
a fun
Yeah, I mean, you
idea.
have to.
I love big.
If it was our
stupid
crew,
games.
I think it'd be fun. If I like went to a random place and had to play a game with 7 other people,
push our 2 tables together.
Dude, straight up put the 2 tables together, do a siege mission with the castle.
we have, we've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
I
the
want it.
castle's like 90% done now.
That's all I want.
It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen.
Get all the models on the tables. Have to be painted.
And if it sucks and it's not fun, we'll take like cool pictures and pretend we played and
Yes.
lie to our friends.
We just keep moving the models in manners of like,
exactly.
that happened.
Yeah, get a picture of me with my hand on my forehead, be like, "Oh, and Tyler's army got really hit by Steve's roll."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, sure. I don't know. Toys are fucking sick, dude.
Toys are cool.
I
Toys are
love
sick.
toys.
Well, folks, that's all we got. Hope you love toys as much as we do.
We're gonna go play with toys.
I love toys.
Thanks, Tyler.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Hive Scum. If you aren't already part of the community, check us out at the In Rust We Trust Discord, which you can find down in the description below. If you have questions you'd like to ask us, you can find our Instagrams down below as well. Or feel free to ask away on the Discord. We also have plenty of extra content and other perks available to our patrons on Patreon. So if you're interested in helping us keep doing what we're doing, then you can find that description below as well. Until next time, folks, keep it grimdark and keep it grimy. Peace.